Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Hey, how's everybody doing today? Hmm. Yeah, I like this record here. Probably knew that anyway, right? Um, Today's going to be a contest uh, video for Jeff Whitcher. He's got a channel called Jeff Whitcher Vinyl Destination, and so he wants you to make a video of five artists or five records that shaped your musical tastes. What are these records, these things that influenced you enough and shaped what you like in music? I think that's kind of how he put it. So I've got those five kind of bands. It's not so much the record itself, it's what artists, for me, what artists shaped my taste. So I've got those five, and then I'm going to change the video a little bit. I'm going to morph it into my style. I'm going to show what did Ron Beaudry have in his music for his records in 72 or 73. And I've got a bunch of records in the back here that I had in 72 or 73. And this will show you what I was doing back in the early 70s, what I had in my record library, what my musical tastes were, what I was listening to. And so first of all, yeah, David Bowie was a major impact on my listening. And so another criteria was what records was I was listening to a lot back in those 70s, early 70s. Yeah, this was one and still gets lots of airplay. Really, really like this record. David Bowie, Aladdin Sane. And then The Man Who Sold the World. This is like 72. Fantastic record. Folks, man, I'm going to show all these records here. These are like some of all my favorite records, from the early days. What I listened to a lot and still do. And The Man Who Sold the World. What a phenomenal record. Kind of a cheesy record cover, but great record. Jethro Tull. This particular record here, my cousin had bought this on an 8-track, and I used to spend a lot of time over there, and I used to play that 8-track all the time and listen to it, and listen to so much of this record. Yeah, learned it by heart almost. And then Aqualung was another one of those records, we listened to a lot and still do, love it. And of course, I have all the Jethro Tull records. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I listen to these records a lot. And another one, my cousin also had this on an 8-track. And I listened to this many, many, many nights. Many, many times. Got to learn it by heart. And then the fifth one, this is the fourth one. Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Black Sabbath, I've said it before, I used to have this back in the day, I'd listen to it on the headphones in the basement of my parents' house, right? And then now this is the two records here that are kind of, not part of the 70s, but something that shows how my taste evolved, where my taste is, what kind of thing. The early 80s, Depeche Mode came out. I think this was 83, 84, 83, yeah. 83, and then 84. And this was the first Depeche Mode record that I had ever heard. I was at Advanced Electronics looking at some stereo equipment. And back in the 84, the Walkmans were pretty big back then. They were and the guy had a Walkman on, he was listening to this tape. And, because it was tape Walkmans at first, there wasn't even any CDs really, it was just starting to come out. And he was listening to this, and I didn't know what it was, but I heard it and I said, wow, I said, that's something I've been looking for. I'm looking for something like that, something to go in a new direction. It's something that sounds really hip and really cool. What is that? Depeche Mode. Yeah, now I've got a fat stack of Depeche Mode. Really do like my Depeche Mode stuff. And now, this is the records That's the contest. We're over with the contest. Now, this is the kind of records, these are all from 70, 71, 72, 73. This was the records of my record collection in those days. And this is kind of where this all was the shape of my musical taste back then. Uriah Heep, Magician's Birthday. Great record, love it to death. Got lots of good old Uriah Heep records now. Another one of the main records I used to listen to a lot was this Alex Harvey Framed record. Listen to it, and listened to a lot of Alex Harvey records that I bought back in those days. Really, really love Alex Harvey Band. It's sensational. Van der Graaf Generator. Yeah, I bought this in 72, I think, when it came out. And I really do like my Van der Graaf, my Generator, my Progressive. This is the more of the kind of more progressive music. Let's put it that way. And I bought this when it came out, 73. Selling England by the pound, and I listened to this record a lot. It got lots of, and it still does. It's so great of a record. And Steely Dan. Yeah, I got this, two exact same thing. When it 72, I think this record came out. And I listened to it so much. And as well with all the Steely Dan records, I just love them all. Everybody likes Steely Dan. Should be no surprise. And Roxy Music again. Listen to these folks. I think it was about 73 72 when I was introduced to Roxy Music, and of course now I've got all their records. Really do love them. Again with Hawkwind, right? Probably about 73 when I bought my first Hawkwind record, and I've got all the early stuff. I'm not, they put so many records out, but I've got the early stuff. And for those people that aren't really too familiar, if you get Space Ritual, it's a live record. It's got all their early stuff on it from the early 70s on here. This is a really, really good record right here. And of course my Blue Oyster Cult. I've been listening to them since the early 70s, and they got a lot of heavy rotation on the turntable back in those days. All those first three records especially. Caravan. I got my In the Land of Grey and Pink back then, and I listened to this record quite a bit. This is, of course, the reissue. Camel Mirage. Yeah, I think it was 73 again. Might be 74 when this record came out, and got lots of play on the turntable, and still does. Joni Mitchell, Court and Spark. Another phenomenal record. And this was one of those records that had such great sound on it, I just couldn't help playing it, and I fell in love with the record because of that. Johnny Winter, Progressive Blues Experiment. Yeah, I bought this record back. The original one I had lots of ring wear and stuff on it. It was on the ER label, and I really, really love that record. And I love Johnny Winter still to today. Really good guitar player. And I bought this one, 1970, when this record came out. I bought this. I was still living in Minneapolis at the time. And again, one of my favorite records. Listen to it still to today. Yes, Close to the Edge. When this came out, I actually bought the cassette of it. And I played it in my car a lot. That's the only cassette I have, and I didn't care. I just could play this every day. I was happy to have that in the car. 10 Years After. Yeah, I've been listening to 10 Years After since the 1970 or so, and this is, to me, their best record, A Space and Time. Really, really good. Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. There's not much more I can say about this record that's not already been said, but if you are not familiar with it, like I've said before, stop the tape, go listen to this, Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. And the same time I bought that Camel record, they had this, Triumvirat. This is Illusions on a Double Dimple. And this is similar to Camel, similar to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Lots of great keyboards on here, lots of good guitar, and the singing is so good and everything. Just one of those rare, fabulous records. Triumvirat. Illusions on a Double Dimple. And I've talked about Grand Funk before. This was the first record I ever bought with my own money, probably in '68 or '9, whenever this record came out. I went to the drugstore and I bought it. Ben Franklin actually was a 5 and 10 store, and I think paid $3.98 or something for it at the time when it came out. And I've listened to it a lot over the years. And then this was a little bit different now. This about '75 I bought this record. So this is not really the early '70s. This is one that got away from me there. But back in '75 I was already listening to hard bop. So it's kind of shaping my musical interest. And because of a record like this, 1972 Billy Cobham Total Eclipse, this is a record that is a fusion record. It's bringing me from the rock into the jazz. It's kind of a hybrid, right? So it's a transitional record for me. I'm coming from rock, listening to this, and when I got that, then I said, hey, what about this Donald Byrd record? What about this stuff? But now I'm getting introduced to Hank Moberly and Duke Pearson and Doug Watkins and Jackie McLean. You know, a lot of different people. Deodato Whirlwinds, yeah, I bought this in '72, '3 and listened to it. It was a big part of my collection. I listened to it a lot. And as well as Frank Zappa, listened to lots of Frank Zappa. I used to have a lot of it, but some of that older stuff when it's getting a little bit kooky, I don't have those anymore, but I do have, still have a lot of his records. Manfred Man Earth Band, right. Solar Fire. I've said this here lately too. What a great record this is. And I played this a lot back in '72, '73. As well as, I used to have the 45 of this back in like '69. And I always loved Led Zeppelin, like everybody else. And I bought this record when it came out. It was '72, I believe. And this is a rocker right here. Lots of good stuff. A little bit bluesy at times on here, too. Good record. And of course, everybody likes Pink Floyd and bought this when it came out, as well Dark Side of the Moon and all the other ones. Everybody loves that stuff. T-Rex, yeah, I got this. And I really like T-Rex. I like these songs. I listened to this quite a bit. As well as Muddy Waters. Have had this for years. I love this record. Here's another one that I bought. Can. This is Can Opener. Edgar Winter. It's got Frankenstein on it. Yeah, I think it was '73 when that Frankenstein came out. I bought that LP. Really got good sound on it again. Kraftwerk. When Kraftwerk came out, yeah, this is my OG right here. I bought when that came out. But I think that's '74. But it's in the same year, '73, '74. The Kinks, all of those early Kinks records, I used to really enjoy a lot of those early Kinks stuff. Around the '72, '73, '4, '5, and '6. Those years I really enjoyed the Kinks. This is '72. This is a record that I have known since that day. Have owned many copies and I've listened to it a lot. Heavy rotation record. And then again, Bad Company. This came out the same year, I think it was '74, that same year that Robin Trower Bridge of Sighs came out, and I bought both of them at the same time. Curved Air. This is a really good band here too. This is the album Air Cut. This is '74 too, I don't remember. So this is about '74, '73, '72. Those are the major years we're showing here. This is my record collection here. We had to have Alice Cooper back in the day, your record collection, if you were listening to rock and roll stuff. This is my favorite record by him. Love it to death, and I do. I love this record to death. Great record. And my kids love it as well. And you had to have some Deep Purple in there, of course. Machine Head. Got to have all those great songs on here. As well as the Doobie Brothers, The Captain and Me. See if we get some of these songs on here. China Grove, clear as the driven snow, natural thing. Yeah. Hard to read that script on there. Love that record. And when this Eno record came out, I believe that again that's 73 or 74. Eno, Here Come the Warm Jets. Lots of plays on this Eno record. Really like that record. As well as Mott the Hoople. That's another 72 and 73. I've got 3-4 of these early Mott the Hoople records that I listened to a lot back in the day. The Who. This was the record that I had back in the day. I listened to a lot of this. It's got a lot of their hits on this record, and that's what I enjoy about The Who, right? We've got The Kids Are Alright, I Can See for Miles, My Generation, Pinball Wizard, Boris the Spider, The Magic Bus, Substitute, a lot of good, great hits on there that I love about them. And then I've had this one since 73, I believe. Ozark Mountain Daredevils. It's just, just a great, if you want to get to heaven, you got to raise a little hell. And it's on that A&M level, and it sounds phenomenal. It's a great record. This is my OG as well here. Never bought another one. And I bought this when it came out. Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells. Got a lot of play. It still does. Ted Nugent, Call of the Wild. A lot of that early Amboy Duke stuff. I really like Amboy Dukes. I've got, I think, all of the Amboy Dukes records. Can't Be On. That was going to be showing up sooner or later. Love this record. Great. It's a little bit of a progressive hard rock kind of stuff. That's the way I would classify this. And Beggar's Opera. Got a lot of those early Beggar's Opera records on the Swirl and such. It's got that Swirl. This is on the London label, but another really good band that I listened to a lot, as well as my Budgie that I bought at Kmart in 72, I think, or 73. And that's kind of what I was listening to back 72, 73, 74. That was the ones in heavy rotation, the records that I played a lot, that influenced the kind of taste I have today, I guess. Okay, and thanks so much, folks, for tuning in, and so glad you watched the whole video. Thank you very much for staying tuned this long. Don't forget to put a like on the video, as long as you're still here. Give me a like on there, and you do the sharing thing, and if you didn't subscribe, do all that. And thanks for watching. Bye for now.